Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to be discussing different sketching techniques. These techniques are meant to improve your observational skills and cure you of any perfectionism syndrome that you may have. So be sure to watch until the end, because a lot of these techniques not only will result in really interesting sketches, but they're also very beneficial as warm-ups for when you are about to draw. In fact, I use a couple of these every now and again to kind of warm up and loosen up. So let's get the video started. The first technique is going to be a continuous line drawing. So with this technique, the most important thing is, as the name implies, as soon as you start drawing, you don't lift your pen off the page. You just keep drawing, and ultimately it's just one continuous line that makes the drawing. So for this drawing, I'm actually going to be using these collection of things that I found around my apartment, and just kind of arranged them on my desk here. So I'm going to start drawing. And again, once I start, I'm not going to lift the pen. And this is a great warm-up exercise to kind of get your hand warmed up, and also to kind of get you out of the state of perfectionism, because since you are drawing in one continuous line, it's going to be very tough to keep things just perfect. So it kind of shuts your brain off a bit and kind of gets you ready to draw. So I'm going to stop talking and let's get started. So I'm going to start with the glasses over here on the left-hand side, and we're going to get going. So I'm just focusing, if you've never done, by the way, if you've never done a continuous line drawing, it's good to arrange the items in a way so that they kind of overlap a little bit, so you can kind of make your way around the subject matter. It also helps to kind of get your creative juices flowing, because you kind of have to come up with very creative ways to make it to the next line, to the next object. So this is one that I use a lot to kind of to practice and warm up with, because it is something that kind of forces you to start thinking a bit. If you're ever doing this too, feel free, as long as you don't lift the pen off the page, just feel free to, kind of stop, look at what you're about to draw, and it'll kind of make it a little bit easier to make your next move. But again, the key is to just not lift your pen off the page. And it is, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a little weird at first, but once you kind of get into a rhythm, it's actually almost meditative, and it really does help to get your brain to kind of shut off for a bit and just focus on what you're seeing rather than what you think you're seeing. All right, so there's my continuous line drawing. Again, this is a super fun one to especially warm up. I use this quite often to warm up, and it kind of starts getting your creative juices going, because again, like I said, you have to figure out how you're gonna go from one subject to the next without lifting your pen off the page. So this is a super fun one. And then if you want, you can actually watercolor or, color or paint this one in any way that you want. But this is a really fun one, and it also gets you an interesting sketch at the end of it. The lines are a little bit more lively and more energetic. So this is a super fun one. I highly recommend giving this one a shot. So let's move on to the next one. All right, for this next sketching technique, I'm gonna be using gouache, but you don't have to. You can use whatever you want. The point of this one is to lay down some color first. Again, like I said, I'm gonna be using gouache, but if you wanna use watercolor, that's fine. If you wanna use marker, that's totally okay. So it's just up to you. So you lay down your color first, and then you add the line work later. So for this one, I like to use it as kind of a way to get my imagination going. So I'm not gonna be using a reference for this. I'm just gonna kind of be going off of my imagination. And yeah, so lay down some color first, and feel free to use reference if you'd like. It's just with this technique, I prefer to kind of get my imagination going a little bit. So I'm just kind of gonna be making something up as I go along. So I'm just gonna mix up some colors. All right, so got my colors mixed up, so I'm just gonna come in and draw. And I think we'll add a little bit of red here and there, because why not? So we'll let that dry for a bit, and then I'll come in with my line work. Okay, so this is mostly dry now. So I'm gonna come in and add my line work. and you don't have to worry about coloring outside the lines. It doesn't, you know, it's okay if your line work doesn't line up with the color with where you laid down the color exactly. The whole point is, again, to just kind of get you to not think so much. There you go. There's our orange cat. Again, color first, line work later. This is a good one. Again, get your imagination going, come up with some fun ideas, some fun characters. So you don't have to use gouache like I did. You can use watercolor to lay down your color, or markers or color pencils or whatever. But the point is to get the color down first and then work on your line work. And this is a great way to kind of get your imagination working, and especially if you're not using reference, if you're just working purely from imagination and making it up as you go along. So let's move on to sketching technique number 3. So for the third sketching technique, we're going to be doing a blind contour drawing. Now, a blind contour drawing is similar to a continuous line drawing, but it's a bit different in the sense that for a blind contour drawing, you're never actually looking at your page. The objective of this technique is to always look at your reference, and as your eyes kind of trace the contour of whatever subject you're drawing, your hand is following along on the page, but you're not looking at the page. Now, there may be a point, depending on what you're drawing, where you may have to reorient yourself on the page in order to continue drawing. So for example, if you're drawing somebody who's sitting down on a chair and you start drawing, you know, one half of their body, and then you kind of have to reorient yourself to draw the other half of the body. I'm most likely going to have to do it with this reference photo, but again, in those instances, you just peek down at your page just so you can reorient your pen, and then you go back to just looking at your reference photo and not at the page. So this is a really fun one to warm up with and get your hands and eyes to be in sync and kind of work well together. This is also another great one to take care of any perfectionism that you may be feeling, because I can guarantee you, no matter what your skill level, your final sketch will definitely not look like your reference, because you're not going to be looking at your page. So yeah, so let's get started with this one. All right, so I'm going to start with this bird's beak. So I'm going to say the beak starts right about there, and now I'm no longer looking at my page. I'm just drawing what my eyes are seeing, and I'm just following along on the page and kind of tracing the image with my eyes. So I'm coming down. I'm gonna say his wing ends about there. Come back up a bit, and then we'll get the bottom part of his body and into his tail. Okay. And then All right, so now I'm at the point, I think, where the tail meets with the body. So I want to draw the front half of his body. So I'm going to look down at my page very briefly just to reorient myself so that I can go from the bottom of the beak down that side of his body. So I'm just going to come over here where the beak is. And again, we're going to start on that front part of the body, not looking at my page, just looking at the reference. And we're going to come down. I'm going to skip over the feet. I'm just going to get the body down, and hopefully this will connect to the tail about there. Okay, so I'm a little off. So I'm a little off on that, but that's okay. And so now I'm gonna reorient myself on the page again, just to get his feet. So I'm gonna say his feet are about here. And again, my eyes are off the page now. We're back on the reference photo. And I'm just gonna draw the one toe, I guess. And then the next one. All right, and then let's see where we're, okay, so that's just terrible. That's bad. Okay, so now I want to get the twig that he's perched on. So again, I'm going to reorient myself on the page. I'm going to say that the twig is about here. And again, my eyes are back on the reference photo. And we're going to be drawing the twig, hopefully through his foot, and then coming down somewhere off the page over here. Okay. All right, so that's not bad. That's pretty close. That's fairly close. So I only drew that one foot. Let's add in the back foot. Again, I'm gonna reorient myself on the page. Back foot is about here. And now again, my eyes are off the page and we're just working on the reference. Okay. All right, so that's my blind contour of this bird. Now for the detail work, you can obviously look at your page. So I'm just gonna add his eye there. I'm gonna add that line to separate the beak from his body, and then we'll add some of the detail just to show some of the feathers there. All right, so there's the blind contour drawing of a bird. Again, this is a great one to get your hands and your eyes on the same page, get them in sync and working together. It's also another good one to take care of any perfectionism you may be feeling, because I promise you, your end result with the blind contour drawing is not gonna look anywhere near the reference that you're using. Something is almost certainly going to be off. I mean, just look at those feet. That's, you know, and even the beak's not great. The body's not terrible, but yeah. So that's a blind contour drawing. And now let's move on to the fourth and final sketching technique for this video. Okay, so for the fourth technique, this is a great one to kind of turn your brain off. It's a great one if you're someone who struggles with drawing what you actually see versus drawing what you think you see. And this is drawing from a reference that's upside down. So this one you'll most likely need to take a picture of just so you can turn the image around. But this allows you to really focus on drawing what you see, because our brains naturally want to work efficiently. So if you're drawing something like a chair, your brain knows what a chair looks like. You know, you've seen countless chairs in your life. Your brain knows, okay, it's 4 legs, a cushion, a backrest, that's a chair. And so if you're trying to draw a chair, even if you're drawing a chair from a reference photo or from life, there's going to be a point where you come to that drawing and you may kind of take your eyes off of the subject more than you should, and you start letting your brain fill in the gaps. So by doing this and flipping the image upside down, you don't give your brain the chance to fill in the gaps because you're looking at something that you haven't seen before. It's something in a different orientation. Your brain's not used to it, so you're essentially taking what you think you see out of the equation, and you're forced to draw what you actually see. So this is another great one to kind of train yourself to draw what you actually see, and to also take care of any perfectionism you may be feeling, because your drawing is still, this one will actually might come out a little bit closer to what you're actually drawing, but because you're drawing it from this weird perspective, it may still be a little off. So this is another great one to help take care of that. So I'm gonna be drawing this woman in this yoga pose, I think it is. And yeah, let's see what happens. So there's the upside down drawing. Let's turn it around. Yeah, as you can see, that's pretty close. Again, the face isn't totally accurate. The arms are a bit off, but overall, it's pretty close to the reference. This is also another good one because you are using a reference that's upside down. This is a really good one to get your proportions right, because again, you're not drawing what you think you see, you're forced to draw what you actually see. So as you can see, like, the legs are fairly in proportion to the torso, the head is in proportion to the body. So this is another good one to definitely get your hand and eyes working together, and to also get out of your own head and forget about what you think you see and draw what you're actually seeing. So those are all the sketching techniques. I hope you liked them. I hope you give them a try. Let me know if you do give it a try. Let me know which one you like, which ones you don't like. Let me know if you're going to be using these techniques in your everyday practice. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Leave a like down below, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.